I didn't know
there are
about
some
that
changes.
I'm not told anything, I'm just chairing the session.
So unfortunately, so I'm Benjamin Betty. Lién Wioland was working in my team so I know very close her work, and unfortunately she's not able to. At the last minute, she told me that she cannot attend the conference. So I will do my best to present her communication. But please bear with me if I cannot answer, especially very precisely the question you can have at the end of the presentation. So Lién Wioland is not on the picture, but you can find her on the book of abstract. So I will talk about the process of adoption of kind of innovation. Today we can find lots of exoskeletons, but it's an innovation, yeah. And the idea is to look on the introduction process of the process of introduction of this technology in companies, from the initial interaction the worker can have with this technology, this assistance technology, to the long-term use. So this is a research conducted. I will talk about, in fact, 4 researches that has been conducted with the help of 20 companies. It has been a long-term studies, a compilation of 4 researches. So the context, today we know that the musculoskeletal disorder are Europe's most common occupational diseases. About 3 workers on 5 workers, there are 3 that are really concerned with this problem. And as preventers, probably the best solution is to eliminate the risk at the beginning, at the source. For example, using mechanization of the activity instead of putting too much weight, too much charge on the worker, but sometimes the mechanization, the automatization is not feasible. So at this time we call the cavalry, and the cavalry can be the exoskeleton. It's not magical, but if we had tried all of the other solutions, then there are some companies that consider the exoskeleton as a solution for reducing the musculoskeletal disorder. So the question is are the exoskeleton really a solution to reduce the musculoskeletal disorder? So we can consider there is a consensus on the benefit of this exoskeleton, but I will tell you just a short story concerning Lién Wioland and Jean-Jacques and the researcher of this presentation. A few years ago, there was a mass retail logistic company that asked us. They were very proud because they invested in exoskeleton, and they asked the INRS at my laboratory, hey, you can come. We have about 100 exoskeleton for our workers. So it was really interesting for us to look at the way they use it and the impact of this technology. Lién Wioland, Jean-Jacques Atinquadio went on the logistic seat, They expected a field very rich of observation. On the day after they came back, and they returned a little bit disappointed because only 3 workers were really wearing the exoskeleton. So at this time they told me this, and we were just asking, is this a good idea to continue to study this question? But we returned the question on, hey, there is probably something to understand on the reason why the worker do not want in this company to use this technology. So that was the beginning of this field of research we started in the INRS. So the question now is, at this time, was understanding and formalizing the cognitive, because we imagine there is something that comes from the worker, the psychosocial mechanism that are involved in the adoption mechanism for this technology. We had at this time the hypothesis that a human exoskeleton interaction that is degraded can lead to psychosocial risk, musculoskeletal disorder, and probably also risk of accident. So I will talk about some of the results coming from a long-term research set. As you see on these photographs, this picture, there are today lots of use cases of exoskeleton in companies. So, starting from this point, we started to slice the adoption process into different phases. So we can consider 3 phases: the pre-adoption, the familiarization, and the routinization. The pre-adoption, it's when the operators form their attitude, but before actually using the technology, they just had a representation of what the technology is just about to give. The familiarization phase is about the interaction. The workers start to use the technology, and the routinization period it's a very interesting period when the technology becomes a routine, becomes an attitude, becomes the worker cannot imagine themselves working without the technology. So how can we define the adoption process? It's mostly operationate in our research as a measure of the intention of to use the technology this is the way we measure this adoption, especially in the pre-adoption phase. And when the worker is using the technology, then you just have to look at what he is doing and if he prefers to use the technology. It can be influenced by several determinants and also by the user exoskeleton interaction experience. And at each stage, we can consider that the worker evaluates the benefits and also the threats, the cons to decide whether to continue or to stop the adoption process. And at each, it also depends on the work. It depends on the worker. It depends on the company. It depends on the kind of activity. So there are lots of different possible trajectories among users. But the idea is to, among all of these different trajectories, to find some stable elements that we can capitalize on. We had a first look at the scientific literature, and we found a model that is probably it is the UTO model, Unified Technology Adoption Model. So this is a kind of general model that is used to explain when a worker uses technology, how he can continue or not to use this technology. And in this model there are lots of determinants. The ease of use, if you look at the technology, if it is something really difficult to use, it's probably one factor that can explain we cannot continue to use. The performance, am I, with this exoskeleton, able to do better than I do without the technology? The social influence is also something that is really interesting to look at. If wearing an exoskeleton, all of the colleagues are just mocking me, probably I will stop using it. On the contrary, if there are a very huge collective of workers that consider that, hey, this is the solution for our problem, then it is probably something that can push to use massively this technology. There is also a question of what we have called professional identity. With this technology, with an exoskeleton, am I still still considering me as the same worker? If I am a farmer using a technology, do I still continue to consider me as a farmer or as a user or something else? So the identity is also important. And the last parameters, the affect, it is about the emotion that this technology creates, positive, negative emotions. We conducted, I was involved in this first research. We conducted a first study just looking at the pre-worker and the worker that has adopted the technology. And what we were considering in this research, quantitative research, with a path analysis model. So we just try to have an idea of the weight, the load associated to all of these parameters. And what we've seen is before using actually the technology, the emotions, the affects, and the represented ease of use of the technology, and also the influence of the other are parameters that are very much involved in the explanation, in the differences between the worker that imagine herself adopting or not adopting the technology. When they use the technology, when they are using this for a certain time, it's a little bit changing. The affects, the emotion are again have a weight, important weight, but the other parameter has a little bit less counting in the equation. that's for the determinant, and we will talk about user and exoskeleton interaction experience. We also, I say we, but at this time I was not involved in the research, so I cannot say we. But my colleagues continue the research, and they also published two papers, especially with Marc Dufresne, who is a doctorate student, and he's just defended his thesis, doctoral thesis the last month. Sorry, just looking at my notes. So what we chiefly observe is in this user exoskeleton interaction experience is the variability. During the familiarization phase, for example, the operator discovered the device side effects, and sometimes they could not imagine these effects before using actually the technology. So the key point about the transition from pre-adoption to familiarization and to routinization is that the process tends toward it's moving, but it tends toward stabilization. And that's an important information to know for companies, because sometimes companies just try the dispositif, just try the device, and stop the experimentation too early. It's normal to have adjustment in this process. So two publications in this question of interaction, experience of interaction with exoskeletons. And this is something that we have conducted in parallel, especially with the help of Marc Dufresne, the candidate for doctorate. It is a part of the research concerning what we call the embodiment. This is the feeling a worker can have using a technology to make just one, to be, the technology is just an extension of his own body. So what we see in these two figures is a kind of scale we have proposed for the worker to answer. On the left, you see on the bottom the exoskeleton as a circle, and the person on the circle up, and on the left, the two circles as one on the same, the exoskeleton and the person is on the same place, representing that it's quite like just one body. And what we see with this green measure is based on an experimentation, and we have followed the workers using the exoskeleton for several times, and we see that after several times there is a kind of a very higher embodiment feeling. Yeah, the exoskeleton is quite considered as a part of the body. This is also something that we observed coming from a company observation. So on the first result is coming from experimental research in lab, and the second result, concordant result, is coming from observation in company. That's an additional point interesting coming from this research. And the last one, but Lién Wioland, Jean-Jacques Attin-Quadio consider that today there are not as much exploration of this subject, the collective. As I said, the social influence of the other, as it is a very crucial subject. As I started to say, that sometimes the colleagues can have a negative influence, including mockery, negative looks. At the extreme, it can be an exclusion of the extended worker, addited worker, if he is the only one to wear an exoskeleton in a collective of workers that are not all equipped with this dispositif. Just looking at it, it's okay? I have to go to the conclusion?
Yeah.
Okay. So the key point to remember, adopting occupational exoskeleton is a complex, dynamic, long-term process, 3-stage. It depends on the evaluation of determinants, the evaluation of the user exoskeleton interaction experience, the success of this adaptation can conduct to the adoption or not. There are different trajectories, and the key determinant, as I said, are the facilitating conditions. So there are lots of things that the company can just modify or prepare to facilitate this adoption. We have produced some guides based on these researches. The first one is a quite exception for the INRS that is usually producing a French document in French language, but there is one document we had translated. You can find it if you go to the website of the INRS. It is the AD 6376. It's just a guideline on what to think at if you had the idea to get an exoskeleton. But we also provide a questionnaire based on the researches I presented. So this questionnaire can be used to evaluate the process of familiarization and in which phase you are in this process. So publications and we can, it's a more work in progress, the project to provide prevention actor with the necessary tools based on the last result I presented. So thank you, and again, I hope I can be able to answer one question.